Imagine this situation. Your laptop suddenly stops turning on. One person immediately closes the lid and thinks, "That's it, it's broken. I need to take it to a repair shop." Another person starts looking into it, checks the charger, presses different buttons, searches for what could have happened, opens videos, reads forums, tries to figure it out. And after some time, the laptop turns on again. And here's the question. What's the difference between these two people? It's not technical talent, and it's not even intelligence. Very often, it's about how the psyche reacts to an unfamiliar problem. Why do some people immediately shrink back when they face a problem, while others become curious and start exploring it? Why are some people frightened by chaos, while others begin trying to understand it? Today, we're going to talk about the psychology of people who know how to fix things, not only objects, but situations in life. Most people think these kinds of people were simply born that way, as if there's a special category of people who are naturally good at everything. But if you talk to them, almost all of them will say the same thing. I didn't know how to do it at first. I just got used to trying. And that's the key. Because behind this are not innate abilities, but certain thinking habits, often formed through experience, mistakes, lack of money, or situations where nobody could help and they had to figure things out themselves. That's where this type of psyche is born. The first trait is calmness around chaos. Imagine a child who takes apart an alarm clock into pieces. For most people, this is stressful. Everything is broken, they'll get scolded now. But another child sits there with curiosity, trying to understand how it works. Their brain perceives the unknown not only as a threat, but also as a task. For most people, chaos immediately activates anxiety. Dangerous, don't touch it, call a specialist. But for people who know how to figure things out, anxiety does not control their behavior. They may not know the solution, but they stay near the problem long enough to begin understanding it. The second trait is systems thinking. Some people simply see, it's broken. Others begin searching for connections. Why did this happen? What affects what? Where did the chain break down? Imagine a person whose car suddenly stops starting in the middle of the road. There's noise everywhere. People are honking. Tension rises immediately. And for most people, the same reaction turns on instantly. Panic. The brain immediately reads the situation as a problem I can't handle. Thoughts appear. This is serious. It's only going to get worse. I need someone who knows what they're doing. And the person psychologically steps away from the problem almost immediately. Closes the hood, grabs the phone, tries to hand responsibility to someone else as fast as possible. But another person in the exact same situation does something completely different. They may also feel nervous. They may also not understand what the issue is. But instead of instantly stepping away from the problem, they stay with it. They open the hood, listen to the sound, look at what might have gone wrong. Recall if something similar happened before. Maybe they open a video or a forum on their phone, not because they're mechanical geniuses, but because their psyche doesn't disconnect from the task in moments of uncertainty. It switches into investigation mode. And this is very important. These people are not necessarily less afraid. Very often, they feel the exact same anxiety. But their brain does not perceive uncertainty as a stop signal. For most people, chaos means dangerous, don't touch it. For them, chaos means interesting, let's take a look. And this is exactly why they gradually begin understanding things that seem complicated to others. Not because they have some special talent, but because they tolerate the moment of not understanding just a little longer. They don't immediately run away from discomfort. They don't demand instant answers from themselves. They allow themselves to stay near the problem long enough for the brain to begin noticing patterns, details, and connections. The third trait is a high frustration tolerance. Simply put, they can endure the moment when nothing works for longer. Most people give up exactly at the point of irritation, when it's already unbearable, when they want to quit. But people who know how to figure things out feel the same anger, the same exhaustion, Yet they do not leave the process immediately. They create a pause between emotion and action. This is not the absence of emotions. It's the habit of not escaping discomfort instantly. And very often, this resilience forms in childhood, where they had to fix things, endure difficulties, and figure things out without quick solutions. The fourth trait is a less fragile ego when learning. Many people never begin something new because they're afraid of looking stupid. If I don't know how to do it, it means I'm weak. If I ask questions, I'm not smart enough. But people who know how to figure things out calmly say, I don't know. And then they go search for the answer. Videos, instructions, advice, experiments. For them, not knowing is not a verdict, it's a starting point. And this is a huge difference, because the psyche stops protecting the image of the perfect self and starts actually learning. Psychologist Carol Dweck wrote extensively in her book Mindset about people with a growth mindset, people who perceive mistakes not as proof of their stupidity, but as part of the process. And these are exactly the people who usually learn to handle difficult things faster. The fifth trait is a brain that collects patterns. There are people who pick up an unfamiliar object and somehow seem to intuitively understand how it works. From the outside, it looks like magic, but in reality, the brain has simply accumulated a huge number of similar situations. It constantly compares the new with what it has seen before. The more attempts, mistakes, and observations a person has experienced, the faster the psyche recognizes patterns. Even failed attempts help because the brain still stores the experience. Neuroscientist Jeff Hawkins had an interesting idea about this. He explained that the brain is constantly searching for familiar patterns. That's why people who have tried fixing things many times eventually begin to intuitively understand the problem. But in reality, the brain has simply accumulated a massive library of similar experiences. And the sixth thing is connection with the physical world. Today, many people live almost entirely in digital space: screens, messages, information. But there are people who experience reality through action, through tools, materials, touch, physical results. When a person fixes something with their hands, they receive a very important feeling. I can influence the world. And this creates deep internal stability, because the psyche gains experience not only through thinking, but through real impact on life around them. And here's an important point. Very often, deep inside us lives the belief, I'm not that kind of person. I'm just not built for this. But most of the time, that isn't true. It's simply an old psychological reaction. Maybe you were once scolded for making mistakes. Maybe you were taught that trying is dangerous, and the brain remembered, it's safer not to touch anything than to experience shame. But none of these qualities are innate gifts. They are thinking skills, and the brain is capable of changing. Every time you try something new, stay in discomfort a little longer, and don't immediately run away from the task. Your psyche slowly rewires itself. And perhaps the most interesting thing, people who know how to fix things often know how to fix life too. Because the principle is the same. Don't run away from chaos. Look at the system. Don't break under discomfort. Don't be afraid of mistakes. And remember, a master is not someone who never broke anything. A master is someone who stopped being afraid of broken things.